from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 9, verses 57 to 60, and the Word of God says, "As they were walking along the road, a man said to him, 'I will follow you wherever you go.' Jesus replied, 'Foxes have dens, and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head.' He said to another man, 'Follow me.' But he replied, 'Lord, first let me go and bury my father.' Jesus said to him, 'Let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God.'" May God bless the reading of His Word.
Started out, of course, the holiday I look forward to is going to school, right? Because back in the olden times, when I went to school, Memorial Day was the beginning of summer vacation. So we always thought Memorial Day is the beginning of summer vacation, Labor Day is the end of summer vacation. We get older, we start thinking Memorial Day as a great opportunity to take a 3-day weekend. But you know, Memorial Day goes a long way back before it was a 3-day weekend, before it was the beginning of summer break. It's actually a tradition that dates all the way back to just after the Civil War. And we had a terrible, our country had 600,000 people were killed in the Civil War. And it was a time after the war that people were thinking a lot about death and about the meaning of war, and also wanting to remember and wanting to honor those who served. And that was very important because everybody at that point had many people that they knew who had died in the war. And so they started this holiday. It actually didn't start out as Memorial Day. It started out as Decoration Day. And I always thought Decoration Day was, the decorations that soldiers would wear. But no, that's not it. It's the people would decorate the graves of the soldiers who had fallen. And it was the day that they would go out and remember the soldiers, and make sure that the graves were all tidy and neat and trimmed back, and then also go a little bit further and to decorate those graves. And it always happened on May 30th until about 30 years ago, and then it became on a 3-day weekend. Well, actually, like 50 years ago. They made it officially always the fourth Monday, so it would always be a 3-day weekend. And, I think that's cost us a little something. It's cost us a little something because instead of it being May 30th, and that's the day, and no matter what day it falls, we're going to remember those who have fallen. Now it's a 3-day weekend, and we think about sales, and we think about trips, and we think about other things, and barbecues, and we don't think as much about the soldiers who died. And we know that remembering is important. It's why this tradition started. It started in the South. There are great stories about the people going out in the South and decorating, cleaning up the graves of the Confederate soldiers, and then going over to the Union cemetery and cleaning up the graves and decorating the graves of the Union soldiers. Another story is about the freed slaves going and decorating and caring for the graves of the Union soldiers. So it's a lot of wonderful stories, and we relate to that because we know remembering is important. We do it all the time. We have memorials for people who have passed away. We keep their graves nice and tidy, and we mark them clearly, and we do genealogies that talk about those who have passed and remember them. We know there's a value to it. I mean, we all see that. Every culture seems to have a different way to honor and to remember those who are gone, those who have passed. Well, it's a little confusing then when we read this story of Jesus in the New Testament that Ellie read for us a moment ago. A story where Jesus is talking to people, and he talks to one man who is one of his disciples, and Jesus is saying, "Okay, let's go. We're going to go and move on." And the guy says, "Well, wait, Master, let me go and bury my father." And Jesus gives that line that we hear a lot. It's quoted a lot. "Let the dead bury the dead." Now you need to go out and need to follow me and to proclaim the good news. That's what you need to do right now. And it makes it sound like Jesus thinks that honoring and remembering is not important. That it's not something about him. But you know what? It's just the opposite. In this story, it's just the opposite. That in fact, Jesus is saying, here is one thing that is so important. Honoring those who have died. Jesus believed that. Everybody back then, the tradition was to spend a long time honoring and burying those who had died and remembering them. And Jesus was saying, that is so important. But you know what? There is one thing that's more important. More important even than very, very, very important thing of honoring the dead, and that is following me. Making the choice to become my disciple and then following me every day. You know, this guy was really just very unfortunate that he was in a situation that was so unique that he had to decide between the two. He had to choose whether or not to follow Christ or to bury his father. And Jesus was moving on. He wasn't going to be there. The chance of that guy actually following Jesus after he did all those things, after he resolved all the commitments, and all the things straightened out, he needed to get straightened out, he wasn't going to follow Jesus after that. Jesus could tell, could see in his heart. He wasn't going to do it. It was going to take him too long, and he was going to stay there, and he was going to lose his chance. This was his one chance to follow Christ. So once again, Jesus is not saying this is something unimportant. He's saying this is something crucially important. And you need to put your faith even above that thing. Well, fortunately, we're not put in this position today to have to choose. To choose between honoring and remembering the dead, which Jesus is saying is important, and following Christ. We can do both. And that's great, because you know what? Honoring and remembering the dead, remembering those who have given us so much who are no longer with us, it helps us spiritually. It does something for us spiritually. It helps us to draw closer to God. And one way it does that is through gratitude. As we think about those who are gone, as we think about those who have given us so much, we can be, and we often are just naturally, grateful. We are grateful for it. Let me tell you, gratitude is one of the first steps we take toward God every day. When we remember all that we have to be grateful for, it makes us want to turn to God. It makes us want to praise God. It makes us want to be responsive to God. Yeah, gratitude is a great first step in our journey of faith. And you know what? As we think what we owe other people, as what we owe the dead, yeah, I think we owe it to them. Especially as we think on Memorial Day of those who paid this ultimate price, who gave us so much, giving us this freedom that it's so easy for us to take for granted today. Like Thomas Paine said, what we achieve too easily, we value too little. We get it easily, and then it doesn't mean anything to us. But Memorial Day is a day for us to remember that this freedom we have gotten did not come easily. It took great sacrifice, and because those people were able to make and willing to make that sacrifice, we are able to now take our freedom for granted. Memorial is a day to quit. The day is a day to quit that. Not take it for granted. Praise God and be thankful for those individuals too. Because I'll tell you one thing I try to remember on Memorial Day is those people who died, they didn't want to go to war. That wasn't their ambition in life. They didn't look at their lives as young people and say, gosh, I want to go off and go to war someday. No, they looked forward to their lives and they wanted to be farmers. They wanted to be teachers. They wanted to find a job so that they could afford to have a family and to live with them in one place and to be free. And that was their desire. And they didn't get that. We inherited that from them. So, of all that we do tomorrow and all the different plans that we have, I hope that each one of us will take just a moment to remember those who gave so much, who gave everything they had, so that today we have freedom that we can at times take for granted. It's good to remember. It's good to honor the dead because it makes us grateful. Being grateful is one step toward God. It's the first step that we take. And we can not only be grateful for them, but for all those who have come before. For our parents and for our grandparents. Even in those sad times when we lose little ones, and we think about the joy that little one brought into our lives, into our church, into our homes, even for just those short years, we can be grateful. Gratitude is the first gift we can give to those who we have lost, and it's a great gift as it leads us to God. But that's not the only gift. We can also experience the gift and give them the gift of our acceptance, that we let them go. And we can't spend all of our times at the grave. Every day can't be Memorial Day. Finally, there is a time when we have to turn aside and turn away from the grave. And yes, start living life once again. And it's the ultimate goal of our grieving process. When we do lose someone, when someone we love is gone, when they have died, and we start on this process of grieving, and the ultimate goal of it is acceptance. And you know what? That's one of the great blessings, promises of our faith, is God giving us the gift of accepting those things we cannot change. To accept those things that we cannot change. And so we move through that process as we lose those we love. We lose to give, we work toward giving them and giving ourselves this gift of acceptance. And sometimes it happens so naturally, so easily, and sometimes it is a bitter struggle. And we get caught, we get stuck in these different parts of the process. We start being angry all the time and we never get over that anger. We're sad all the time and we never get over that sadness. Or we spend our time playing the what if game and we can't get past that. Oh, what if she had taken better care of herself? What if we had never moved here? What if he had never gotten into that car? What if? And we get caught there and we never get to that part where we accept. Again, it's one of the great promises of our faith. It's a promise of acceptance, and it is, I believe, something that we owe those who have passed. To be able to finally see the wisdom and see what Jesus is saying to us here today in these words, that there comes a time for all of us in the grieving process when we too need to, we've done the work, and now we too need to let the dead bury the dead. We've done enough work there at the graveside. We've got to turn now back towards life. What do we owe the dead? We owe them the gift of our remembering, the gift of our honor, and we owe them this work that we do as we reach toward acceptance. But we owe them one other thing as well. We owe them the promise of joy, of hope. It's not enough that we simply accept, but we also need to recognize and to commit ourselves to looking forward in life, to anticipating and seeking out joy in life. You know, when those ladies would get together, and men too would get together way back 100 years ago to decorate those graves, they didn't decorate them in black, as one might have thought during this age. No, they decorated them in flowers. And that's one reason the holiday, Memorial Day, is at the end of May. It's when the flowers are beautiful. We need to remember that as well. We need to remember that even after death, there comes new life. There is beauty and there is joy. And we need to reach for that. And grab for it in our lives, even after this time of loss. Be able to look back and, yes, remember with that pain of sadness in our hearts, but also remember with a smile on our face how joy and sorrow are intertwined in our lives. It's something we see as we grow older, as we experience loss. But those that we have lost, one of the reasons it causes us so much pain is because of the joy. And one reason those times were so joyful is because we knew they would not last. They were going to come to an end. It's why we appreciate so many things in this world. Why we appreciate the flowers in springtime themselves. We know they're not going to be here forever. Why a little tiny baby is so special to us. One of the many reasons is that we know that child is too quickly going to be all grown up. Why do we appreciate our friendships so much? We value the time we can spend with one another. It is because we know that time will come to an end. Joy and sorrow, all mixed together. Certainly we are called in our lives to reach out for that joy, even if we have suffered a loss, to reach out and to seek it, because it is, again, one of the promises of our faith. Jesus promises us hope, and he promises us joy. We need to remember that and reach for it. So what do we owe the dead? Well, we owe them and we owe ourselves too. We need to remember. We need to honor. We need to accept, and we need to seek joy in our lives every day. We have been given this hard-won freedom to move forward in our lives. So let us do that each and every day. Let us do it with the love of Christ in our hearts. Let us bow in prayer. Loving God, we give thanks for your many blessings. Loving God, thank you for those who have gone before us, who have meant so much to us. Loving God, help us to reach forward every day, to be those kind of people, to the people that are coming up now. Help us to show your love to each and every person we meet, and help us to be a great witness to the power of your love in our lives every day. It is in Jesus Christ's name we pray.